So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been telling you about 3D printing, and now I've just got one last set of things to say, and here I'm going to speak about the darker side of 3D printing. I've told you many of the upsides of it, the benefits, but there are nonetheless more sinister uses of 3D printing, of course. Now, if we just think of the possibilities that 3D printing could have for terrorists, then we could be very scared when looking further into the future. The internet nowadays already means that it is easier and easier for extremists who want to wreak havoc to plan their attacks. However, often, at the moment, what happens is that these attacks are discovered by the authorities before the terrorists are able to carry out their plan. And most of the time, when these attacks are discovered, it's through the terrorists trying to acquire the materials necessary. But imagine what it would be like if terrorists could simply produce all of what they needed at home. They could maybe make all manner of bombs, guns or other weapons through 3D technology, 3D printing technology. Now, there are indeed already weapons which are being produced with 3D printers. I watched a video just this afternoon about the first gun being fired in the US, which was produced as a result of, which was produced by a 3D printer. And there are obviously serious repercussions for this, but the creator was interviewed. He spoke at the end of the video, and the interviewer said, "Aren't you concerned about what might happen with this creation of yours, this gun which could be made anywhere in the world with simply the click of a mouse?" And he said, "Well, of course my gun could get into the wrong hands, but that's no reason not to produce it." Now, for me, that's not really an argument that holds water. Saying that simply there's no reason not to is no reason to do it, in my opinion. But anyway, there are indeed, there are dangers with 3D printing, therefore. But the industry is trying to find solutions, and there is one Danish company in particular that has declared that its response to weapons being produced on its 3D printers is that it will blacklist certain designs. It will there will be a piece of software which prevents you from actually producing certain shapes or producing certain designs so as to prevent people from making weapons. However, this means that the software has to be continuously updated, and the criminals will always be one step ahead, producing a new design for a gun which can be made in a different way. So the authorities nowadays have to be very much on their toes. They have to know what's going on in the world of 3D printing to be able to prevent disasters happening, and in order to stay ahead of the game. But ultimately, those who want to take revenge through terror are actually few and far between. There are other crimes, however, which are maybe more common and more of a threat now, thanks to 3D printing. I was reading an article earlier today about a team of fraudsters who have been stealing money from innocent people through a system that they've introduced in ATM machines. So this team of fraudsters makes equipment which they install in an ATM machine, and as someone approaches with their credit card, and as they slot the credit card into the machine, then the device that these fraudsters have made reads the card. Now, that's nothing new. That type of fraud has existed for some time, but thanks to 3D printing, the scanner which is made by the fraudsters can be very small indeed, and it can simply be slotted into the card slot, and so it's almost unnoticeable to any customer. These criminals have indeed stolen roughly 100,000 Australian dollars before being caught, and so we can see that this is a real threat. So, ladies and gentlemen, there are many advantages of 3D printing, but as with any form of new technology, we have to be very careful with who uses it and for what purpose. Thank you.